Jimmy, you brought up, we're back here. We were here Friday night. Beautiful facility, 325 down both lines and 400 to dead center. Dimensions not unlike Fusenich Park. As a matter of fact, I look at that 400 in center, and it's got a different background with the pine trees, though. It's a beautiful facility here. You get down the right field line. You know, Jimmy and I actually thought we saw the Loch Ness Monster out of that lake the other night, but it may have been one of those hot dogs. I'm not sure.
It could have been, but there were so many yachts out there, it was tough to tell what was snaking its way in between everything out there. A couple of notes personally here on the Twisters side. Tabor Lee comes into tonight's game with an 8-game hitting streak, so we'll be looking to see if he can keep that hitting streak going, as well as Nate Gold now. Now, Nate Gold, in 11 games, he has hit in 10 of the first 11 games, and he has been just knocking the cover off the ball. He had a couple of hits and 3 runs batted in the other night. And even though the Twisters have played the fewest games in the league, Nate Gold is currently leading the league in runs batted in with 16. Tabor Lee, who leads the league in hitting at a sensational 436, has dropped out of the league lead in hits overall. But again, that's related to the number of games we have, or if you will, have not played. He has 17 hits, and Ryan Hannigan for Lowell, they played a few more games than we have, he's got 18. He's at 340, which is not shabby either. He's hitting 7th in the league. Nate Gold, with a 333 average, is tied for 8th in the league, along with Manchester's own Jesse Nelson, who comes in at 333.
You know, Jimmy, Friday night we saw a great performance out of Corey Hahn, converted third baseman who was listed actually on the Twisters roster as third baseman, to come in and give Greg Hunt the quality 6 innings that he needed to have, and you called it Friday night that's probably where he would go. They got C.J. Giampaolo into the game. They got him an inning. They got Tony Stutz into the game.
And
everybody got some work, and that was a good game for this ball club. It was a good confidence builder for this team. As you know, they scored the runs. The offense got on track. You get a performance like that out of Corey Hahn, and that's the type of performance that you can almost hedge a season on. You can put a season on a performance like that, and I don't want to do that 11 games in, but you take a third baseman who comes into not your own park, which is probably better because you don't have the pressure on you, to get the performance that Corey Hahn gave them, and everybody started. You could see the confidence of this team about 5 decibels higher when they got on the bus than when they got here the other night.
I'm sure, and the other note is that Corey Hahn was probably just as happy when he replaced Tabor Lee in the lineup and came in and got that stand-up double to the wall. He was very proud of that, but you're right. Coach was looking to get, hoping to get as many as 6 innings out of him, and he got 6 marvelous innings from Corey Hahn, and got some more of his bullpen to get some work. And what I'd like to do is see if I could get a copy of a tape from Cox Communications, because there were some defensive highlights that the fans in Torrington would just marvel at if they were able to see what we saw here on Friday night defensively. Corey Hahn, Adam Haley, he was conscious out there. Absolutely, and we're talking circus plays. Absolutely marvelous.
I mean, you put Tabor Lee in the DH role, and you put Adam Haley at shortstop, and you lose absolutely nothing in it. And of course, the historians tell us that the strength of a baseball team is what happens right up the middle. And they just unbelievably, they can interchange all these parts to this puzzle. And we got our first look at Andrew Toussaint Friday night, which tonight he won't be playing. You got Brandon Roberts in right field. Nick Carbone gets a start in left. Nick, of course, from Manhattan College, which is exactly as you brought up before the game, where Mr. Darcy is from, so there may be a little familiarity between those two.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you, Jimmy, we watched a defensive gem the other night, and in the meantime, the subplot to the story was the Twisters' offense came to life Friday night.
It did indeed, and not just with singles either, but with doubles, extra base hits, that sort of thing. You talk about the flexibility in the field, Lair. You've got Mike McMillan playing center field tonight. I hesitate to say in place of Jordan Sarnicki, because Mike McMillan has shown that he can play the position all over the field very, very well. You've got Brian Kraft, who can play shortstop, third, second base, and he's not in the lineup tonight. Like you said, Andrew Toussaint not in the lineup tonight because Brandon Roberts has hit the ball on the nose very, very well. Nick Carbone getting the start again tonight, and I think a lot of it has to do with two things. Like you said, number one, the fact that Ryan Darcy is from his school, and there may be some, he may be able to share some things and have a good read on what Ryan Darcy's got there. I mean, obviously not too many people in the league have been able to get much of a read on Ryan Darcy, what with that sparkling earned run average and the way he's thrown the ball. But also, Nick had a good game the other night, and I think it's part of his confidence-building process by Coach Hunt.
Well, you know, Nick Carbone has been hitting the ball really well lately. Unfortunately, with the exception, I mean, the hit he got the other night, you could see it felt like the weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders. And he's been hitting the ball at people, except for that base hit. You know, it's going to come for Nick. He's a great athlete. He's a good-looking young athlete. And what's going to happen? That base hit, you know, the confidence level is back, and he's been playing great defensively, as have all the Twisters.
Without a doubt. And like we said, tonight shapes up as a pitching duel. Rory Shortell will be on the mound for the Twisters. Rory comes in to tonight's game with an earned run average, as Larry said, of 1.42. His record is 1 up and 1 down, and this will be his 4th start. He has 2 complete games. That complete game loss at Fusenage Park on the season opener. He has a shutout, which he spun in his last outing. He's pitched 25 innings, given up just 15 hits. Only 6 runs, and only 4 of those earned. And he has issued only 5 walks in 25 innings, which is a very good ratio. And he's got 15 strikeouts. So, and opponents are only hitting $172 against Rory Shortell. So I spoke with him before the game tonight, wished him luck, asked him how he's feeling, and said he's all set, ready to go. He's got his rest in and everything. So we look for a great one here tonight for the Twisters, trying to run their winning streak to 6 games.
One of the keys tonight, Jimmy, may be this oppressive humidity that's out there. We've got a nice little breeze here in the press box, but don't get me wrong, folks. It is hot and humid down there on the mound. And, you know, we talked to Tim Levesque last time at home when we had this sticky type weather, and he said actually it benefited him. He got real loose and he stayed loose. So that may be a key, may not be a key in tonight's game. I think what we're going to find in tonight's game with 2 very evenly matched pitchers, it's going to come down who's going to control it better, who's going to give up more walks than the other team, than the other pitcher.
And breaks could enter into the equation also. You know, whoever gets the early break or jumps out to the early lead, that could set the tone for the entire game. So I think it would be important for the offense for the Twisters to see if they can strike first, seeing as how we're up first being the away team.
And as the custom here in Manchester, which we got used to on Friday, the Little Leaguers will come out and join their comrades here on the ball field.
As we also see in Keene, too, each time. I don't know if they're going to be introducing the players or if we're going to go right to the national anthem.
I believe they've already introduced the starting lineup for Manchester. And now they're introducing the Little Leaguers. They get a good little hand as they come out on the field. That's always fun to watch, Jimmy.
Oh, I agree. And, you know, one of these days, we got to think about the player of the game back at home. Some of the guys who have had great away performances who we haven't been able to have up in the booth thus far, guys like Adam Haley and Bobby Newton, those kind of guys. Brandon Roberts has even hit the ball on the nose quite well. We hope to be able to get these guys up into the booth for Player of the Game awards after some of these upcoming home games.
If we can stay out of the rain, you know, I mean, we talked the other night about Adam Haley's performance, but, you know, in retrospect, as we look back on it, equally impressive the performance of Corey Hahn.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, this week on Thursday, we'll be at home for a game against the Danbury Westerners. We'll also have the game away on Friday night against River Point. So be sure to be with us. We'll have all the action on WAPJ as we're set now for our national anthem. we found out last Friday night, Larry, that lady can hit it, can't
yes, she can.
And
I was kind of worried about shattering glass there for a moment.
Seriously. As we're set to go, let's give you the starting lineups for the Torrington Twisters. They'll be up first. Tabor Lee will be leading things off and playing shortstop. He'll be followed at the number 2 spot by Brandon Roberts in right field. Hitting third for the Twisters will be Bobby Newton. He'll be at first base tonight, followed by Nate Gold at the DH position. Batting number 5 will be Billy Ryan. He'll be doing the catching tonight. Number 6 will be Justin McLean at third base. Adam Haley is over at second base tonight, hitting 7th. Nick Carbone in left field, hitting 8th. And Mike McMillan hitting 9th, and he'll be in center field. As we said, Tabor Lee coming in with the league's leading batting average at .436. Nate Gold and Billy Ryan each hitting .333. So a couple of the guys that are leading things for the Twisters in the offensive categories.
And the only change that I see is that the Twisters in their gray uniforms tonight with the orange accent, and the Silkworms in their gray uniforms with the green accent. I do believe the other night the Twisters had their black road uniforms on, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. And Ryan Darcy is on the mound for the Manchester Silkworms. Right-hander from Manhattan College and Levittown, New York. 6'1", 175-pounder. And teammate, of course, of Nick Carbone's at Manhattan College.
Jimmy, he's got a nice array of pitches. I'm watching him warm up. He's got a nice backdoor breaking ball. He's got good movement on his fastball. This could be a great pitcher's night.
It sure could. And while I was down talking with the boys, I was pointing out to them, if they didn't know already, of course they usually do, that this fella has 2 complete games to his credit thus far this season. This is his third. He's had 3 starts. This is his 4th, and he's got a 1-1 record with a great ERA. I told him, this isn't a cakewalk like Friday night, and of course they already knew that, and that's when Nick Carbone said, geez, I go to school with this guy. And if I had been thinking on my feet, which usually I don't, I would have said, what's the guy feature? What's he got? Fastball curve, got a nice changeup or what? But we're going to find out. But I think you're right, warming up, we're going to see from that he's got a nice array. Tabor Lee leading off from the left-handed side takes a called strike 1. 0-1 to Tabor Lee. As we said, with an 8-game hitting streak on the line coming into tonight's game. Breaking ball to slam down the first base side foul. Tabor Lee falls behind quickly, 0-2.
Tabor is usually his custom taking that first pitch. Yeah, I don't think I remember more than 4 occasions he swung at a first pitch this season.
I agree, and we saw that last year, too. Tabor he's a guy who's going to take that first strike. There's a pitch. Bouncer out to shortstop. Tabor Lee hustling down the first base line. Just gets nicked by a step as the play is made by Evan Conley over to Jess Nelson. 6-3. So 1 out here, top of the first inning, and that will bring Brandon Roberts to the plate. Brandon playing right field tonight, coming in at some of the hardest 226 you're going to see. Brandon's got a couple of home runs, 6 RBIs, 3 doubles. And the first pitch to Roberts is drag bunt, and it's fielded by the pitcher, Darcy, and gets Brandon Roberts in plenty of time on the 1-3 putout. Got that more directly to the pitcher and didn't get it in between. Otherwise, he would have had a shot at a bunt base hit.
I think if he had that down the third base line, he had that beat out, but he brought it back too close to Darcy. You're right, Jimmy.
And Darcy made a nice play as a result. There are 2 down now with Bobby Newton coming to the plate. Bobby had a great evening last Friday. He's got his average up now to 250. I believe Bobby had 3 hits the other night. Let me just check. A double and 2 singles and 5 times up. The 1-0 pitch to Newton is ball low. It's 2-0 now to Bobby Newton.
Darcy's working incredibly fast on that mound.
There's a foul tip at the plate. 2-1 now to Bobby Newton. Newton, of course, is from the University of Kentucky by way of West Lafayette, Indiana. 2-1 pitch is roped into right field for a two-hop base hit. Bobby Newton hitting the ball on the nose again.
Boy, Bobby got good wood on that. He got ahead of the fastball, pulled it down the right field line, base hit. Nice start for the Twisters.
Twisters have a two-out base runner, Bobby Newton down at first base, and the league's leading RBI guy, Nate Gold, is up. The DH comes in at 3:33. We'll see if Bobby Newton is off and running at first base. Here's the pitch from Darcy from the stretch. Outside with the breaking ball. Ball one to Nate Gold.
You know, Jimmy, we're about 15 feet back from home plate right here in the press box. It's beautiful. And you look at Nate Gold. He is big.
He's huge. No question about it. 6'4", 220, listed at 220. Outside and low, fastball from Darcy. Count runs to 2-0. Anytime you got the league's leading RBI guy up with guys on base, they're going to pitch kind of delicately to you. Billy Ryan, catcher, waits on deck. There's ball three. Just misses outside.
This may be an intentional walk.
Could be, even with first base not open. They might prefer to pitch to Billy Ryan, although Billy, we've seen him hitting the ball on the nose recently. Takes ball four. Nate Gold was staying in there because he didn't know whether he was going to get rung up for not being able to check a swing or whether that was just going to be a high strike. As it is, it's ball four. Appeal is made to the field umpire. No swing. So it's a 4-ball walk for Nate Gold. Runners on first and second. Bottom of the first inning, 2 down for the Twisters, and up comes Billy Ryan at 3:33, 8 for 24.
Billy, part of that two-headed monster, we have a catcher because you don't lose anything when you switch these two.
Between Billy Ryan and Brian Lentz, you're right. Defensively, we're set behind the plate. There's a fastball for a strike. First pitch to Billy Ryan. So Ryan Darcy is going to want to attack Billy Ryan. He's got 2 runners on, one by way of a 2-out base hit by Newton. There's a ball in the dirt, breaking pitch. Too much bend on it. It's 1-1 to Billy Ryan. And then after Newton got on with that line drive single to right field, Nate Gold gets the 4-pitch base on balls. Runners on first and second, 2 down. Top of the first inning. Breaking ball high. It's now 2-1 to Billy Ryan. He's checking down at Coach Marty Deliveron in the third base box for the single.
We talked about this before the game. Darcy had 5 walks coming in this game. He's already got 1.
Yes. There's a bouncer foul down the third base line. Count will even up now at 2-2. Deuces across the board with 2 outs here, top of the first inning. Twisters with a 2-out threat. Runner in scoring position out of second base is Bobby Newton. Around at first is Nate Gold. Billy Ryan would love to plate the first run here for the Twisters and get the Twisters out in this lead. Here's the pitch from Darcy. Outside and low. Count runs full now. Tough pitch to take. That looked pretty close, but it was just off the plate and a little bit low. Count is full now to Billy Ryan.
The runners will be off on a 3-2 count with 2 down.
They certainly will. Darcy from the stretch. Here's the delivery. Bouncer foul to the backstop. They'll do it again. Runners will come back to first and second. Darcy has got to come in with this. We've got Justin McLean waiting on deck. A ball here by Darcy would load him up, even though there are 2 outs.
We know what Justin can do with a bat.
You betcha. Here's the full count delivery from Darcy. Runners are off. Swinging, strike 3. And it's foul tipped and held on to by the catcher, Mike Leonard. Side goes down.
May have swung a ball 4 there, actually, Jimmy.
He could have. It looked low in the zone, but he was protecting. After a half inning, it's the Twisters nothing, and the Manchester Silkworms coming to the lake.
Torrington Twister Baseball is brought to you on WAPJ.
Close enough, right? Mike Dugan is going to lead it off for the Manchester Silkworms. He comes in with a solid .289 batting average. Dugan playing second base tonight, and he'll be facing, as we said, the Twisters' Rory Shortell. Shortell looking into the sun. Wind-up pitch A little squibber out to third base, taken there by Justin McLean, unable to get the handle on the ball. And down at first base is going to be Mike Dugan with an infield base hit.
Yeah, that has to be an infield hit. I mean, it just...
Tough chance.
It was a wounded duck. It just fell.
It did. It was spinning like crazy and just died on this infield grass. From what I understand, the grass was cut today, but it is a slow infield here. And that ball just died in the infield grass. Not much of a chance for Justin McLean. It's a leadoff base hit for Mike Dugan on a ball that didn't travel more than 60 feet. Evan Conley is up, hitting .224. First pitch to Conley is into left center field, and that's going to drop for a base hit, taken out there by Mike McMillan, and Dugan has to hold at second base. So the Silkworms had the leadoff, runners on at first and second.
Deja vu all over again. The Twisters with runners on first and second. Alabama with 2 outs. The Silkworms runners on first and second with nobody down. They got something going on.
They do, and like you said, Lair, the difference here could be the fact that the Twisters got their runners on with 2 outs, and the first 2 batters in the bottom of the first inning are on for the Silkworms, bringing Chris Denorfia to the plate at .240, playing center field tonight. Denorfia from Southington. First pitch is in there for called strike 1. Fastball from Shortell.
Showing bunt, the Twisters infield at double play depth. So McLean about 2 steps in on the grass on the third base line.
And Bobby Newton not holding on the runner. Conley at first. From the stretch here, Shortell's curveball is just off the outside part of the plate. That was a good-looking bender by Shortell. Did not quite catch the outside corner. It's 1-1 to Denorfia with Jess Nelson, the cleanup batter, on deck. First baseman who comes into this game tied for 8th in the league in hitting at .333. Shortell's 1-1 delivery. Runners are going, and it's fouled down the third base line as both runners were off on that pitch. Silkworms trying to get something going.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy, that was a smart baseball move. They had both guys going. If that thing's in play and it goes into the outfield, you got basically 2 runs in the scoring.
Well, and not only that, if that ball had been fair and to Justin McLean, I'm not sure he would have had a play at all at third base, nor would he have been able to get the ball over to try to turn 2. So that would have been a dangerous situation. As it turns out, it's a 1-2 count now to Denorfia. Here's the delivery. Curveball hit into center field. Shallow. In comes Mike McMillan. He'll be camped under it. He makes the play. No advance by the runners as that ball was taken about 50 feet beyond second base by Mike McMillan. So Rory Shortell gets that first big out. Runners do not advance. Runners at first and second.
The good thing was that foul ball, which created strike 2, basically took the bunt play off, and then the basic little Texas leader center field, which was caught. Now you got a different scenario. 1 down, you can go to double play depth. You don't really have to worry about the bunt as much.
And left-handed hitter Jess Nelson is at the plate. As we said, coming in with a .333 batting average. Here's the pitch, swinging, strike 1 on another fastball by Shortell.
I think he was trying to hit the Loch Ness monster down there in right field with that swing.
He was, but Shortell really reared back and threw that one from the heels and was able to blow it by Jess Nelson. But with a .333 batting average and a nice compact swing, we'll see if he can. There's a fly ball down the left field line, and that's going to be foul and out of play. And Shortell quickly up 0-2 to Jess Nelson with runners on first and second for the Manchester Silkworms. Bottom of the first inning, no score from Manchester, Connecticut. Silkworms of Manchester against your Torrington Twisters. If this is any indication, Larry, we're going to have another great game here to call tonight.
I'll tell you what, we had a lot of them so far this season, though, you know.
Have we ever? Shortell looks in for the sign. He's got it from the stretch, checks the runners, and no play on the second base as Shortell fakes a move. Neither infielder going to take a throw, but trying to keep those runners honest. We'll see with an 0-2 count if the Silkworms have anything going here. Good bat man at the plate, Jess Nelson. Fastball fouled out of play, same spot as the last one. Count remains 0-2. So Nelson is able to fight off that 0-2 pitch and stay alive with that 0-2 count. Choked up on the bat is Nelson, And with that nice compact swing, he looks like a contact hitter to me, Lair.
I'll tell you what, he's a little bit behind that fastball, but he is keeping contact, staying alive.
Absolutely. The 0-2 pitch again, fouled away again over to our left. So Nelson doing a great job of staying alive in this at-bat. The catcher, Mike Leonard, is the on-deck batter. There is one out, runners on first and second.
And where did you park, Jim?
I parked directly in back of the backstop as far away as I could without being up next to the bus.
I mean, this reminds me of that at-bat we had Friday night with the 11 fouls in a row.
Indeed, that's true. That's true. As Jess Nelson digs in again at 0-2. Shortell taking his time, getting the signs. He's got it now set from the stretch. Here's the 0-2 delivery again. Curveball, and Nelson's way ahead of it, bounces it weakly down the first baseline foul. The first base coach gets it back in, but again, Nelson, now that's 4 fouls in a row, and he's holding at 0-2.
Pretty soon they'll be paying homage to my good friend Buzzy down there in Middletown and be bringing the baseballs back into the field.
Because there won't be any left. I was asking the boys tonight, my boys are here with me again tonight along with my wife, and I was asking if they make them return the balls here, and he said no. There is another team in the league that doesn't require the balls to be brought back. The runners are off, and it's pitch out. Throw down is into left field. No further advance, but the runners do move up to second and third. Billy Ryan uncorked the throw on what really wasn't a pitch out, but it looked like it was a ball. It was a waste pitch outside to run the count 1-2. But on the play, we've got stolen bases for both Dugan and Conley, and they are now at second and third with just one out. No force in existence anymore, and Nelson with the 1-2 count, hanging tough. Shortell from the stretch. Here's the 1-2 delivery. Bouncer foul again down the right field line. So Jess Nelson is really making Rory Shortell work here.
Rory came in with a couple nice fastballs that were fouled off. Now he's taking a little bit off. He threw a changeup and then a curveball, and they're still being fouled. And this is very important batter for Rory Shortell right now.
Oh, especially with the runners moved up, like you say, Lair, it is important. Runners at second and third, no force in the infield. Infielders playing back. Here's the 1-2 pitch outside. Count is even now after all that work. Count is just even at 2-2.
I think Rory tried to get him to chase one a little bit outside, but no offering.
No, but Nelson looks very disciplined at the plate. Left-handed batter with a slightly open stance, chokes up about 2 inches on the bat. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Breaking pitch is lined into left center field, and that's going to be in there for a base hit, and it's going to get both runners in. Nelson's digging for 2, and he's going to be in there, sliding safely. So the Silkworms, with the early 2-0 lead as both Dugan and Evan Conley score, and that could be very, very big. It's 2-0, bottom of the first inning, and still with just one out, runner Jess Nelson at second base in scoring position for Mike Leonard.
Something the Silkworms were unable to do Friday night, and that's turned 2 leadoff singles into runs, and they've done it here tonight.
Exactly. Well, Nelson did a great, what an at-bat he had there. Had to be at least a 9 or 10 pitch at-bat. Shortell with the delivery to Leonard in there, breaking pitch, called strike 1 to Mike Leonard, who comes into this game at 250. And that little infield squibbler that led off the game by Mike Dugan, where it was too tough of a chance for Justin McLean to handle, set the tone early here. And there's a ball outside. It's 1-1 now to Mike Leonard, the catcher. Twisters fall behind early here, and the Silkworms threatening to put even more on the board as they have a crooked number with a deuce up there already. It's 2-0, bottom of the first. Shortell with the 1-1 delivery. No, he steps off the mound with a fake move towards second base.
Rory needs to stop this right now. Another run scoring could be really devastating at this point in the ballgame for the Twisters.
Mike Leonard looking at the 1-1 delivery. Bouncer foul at the plate. Leonard behind now. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Shortell needing this out here. There is only 1 down. And Glenn Morris, left-handed right fielder, is waiting on deck. Shortell looking in for the sign. He's set from the stretch. The delivery just off the outside corner, evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Rory looks like he's laboring a little bit out there tonight, Jimmy. It's not really the same fluidness we've seen out of him in his previous 3 starts.
It's interesting how it's the kind of thing that we've seen guys like Tim Levesque do the same thing. 2-2 delivery jams him, and it's fouled off to the dugout side of the Silkworms. Count remains 2-2. In Tim Levesque's starts, he's had trouble in each of his first innings also. One first inning, he threw 27 pitches, didn't give up a run, but that's a lot of pitches to be thrown in one inning. After that, he settled right in. Let's see if Rory Shortell can do the same. Bouncer foul at the plate on a fastball, and now Mike Leonard is hanging tough. Count remains 2-2 to him as he fights off the last 2 pitches thrown to him. So nice piece of contact hitting and quality at-bats being shown here by the Silkworms. They want to support their ace pitcher, Ryan Darcy. So far, they got him 2 runs here in the first inning. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Curveball. And it's stopped out there by Shortell and slowed down. He almost got his head taken off. He did slow the ball down for the second baseman, Adam Haley, who was able to field the ball on the infield grass in time to get Leonard at first base. That play is going to go 1-4-3. But Rory Shortell was trying to do nothing else but protect himself rather than field that ball. He was trying to save his life as he is still looking into this evening setting sun, and at 60 feet away, that ball was screaming at him.
And a little footnote: Adam Haley is wearing Coach Greg Hunt's number 1 in the outfield at second base.
That's right. I didn't know.
Apparently, he didn't get his travel shirt brought with a team or whatever, so he's now wearing number 1. Playing second base. So
it's funny, I saw Coach Hunt coming from the bus just before game time, so he must have been going to get a different shirt himself so he could give that one to Adam. It's a bouncer to second base, taken out there by Haley. The throw over to first base, and Bobby Newton's side is finally retired, but not before the Manchester Silkworms take the early 2-0 lead at the end of 1 inning.
We head to the top of inning number 2. It is the man who brings you Torrington Twister baseball home and away, Jim Pashley.
Thank you, Larry. Ryan Darcy staked to an early 2-0 lead, and he'll be facing the number 6, 7, and 8 batters in the lineup for the Twisters. Leading off will be Justin McLean. He'll be followed by Adam Haley and Nick Carbone. McLean has been in a little bit of a slump lately, or as Yogi Berra would say, I'm not in a slump, I just ain't hitting.
Gotta love a Yogiism.
Absolutely. So Justin McLean steps in, hitting at 194. He'll be looking to get things going for the Twisters. Here's Darcy's first pitch in there for called strike 1. Fastball, the offering from Ryan Dorsey. 0-1 count, top of the second inning. 2-0 Manchester lead. There's a line drive base hit into center field. Nice stroke out there by Justin McLean as he gets the leadoff single for the Twisters.
I'll tell you, Justin's got to feel really good about that. He's been struggling a little bit at the plate, but just keep persevering, Justin. You're hitting the ball well. And, speaking of perseverance, here's a guy that on Friday night just kind of tore this place up, Adam Haley.
Adam Haley, you're absolutely right, Lair. He comes in with an even 200 batting average, but that belies the game he had the other night. Drag bunt attempt is tipped into Mike Leonard's glove for strike 1.
Let's see. He's got number 1 on. He's playing second base. He doesn't look anything like Billy Martin.
No, he does not.
No. He's got a much better disposition, too.
He's much better looking, too. Here's the 0-1 delivery. Bouncer foul at the plate, and just like that, Adam Haley is down in the count 0-2. Well, Lair, Friday night when we were here, despite how well the team overall did, probably the most frustrated guy out on the field, and I think you'll echo this, was Justin McLean. He just could not get untracked, on Friday night. I think he was 0 for 5 on the evening, but he's got to feel good. There's a bouncer back to Darcy, over to second base for 1, and they turn the 1 to 6 to 3 double play. That ball was hit hard by Adam Haley back to Darcy. He was able to turn quickly, get the ball out to Evan Conley, who was able to make the turn over to Jess Nelson. Just like that, there are 2 down here. Top of the second inning, 2-0. Silkworms lead. Nick Carbone up for the Twisters. First pitch on the outside corner for a called strike 1. That's a pitch that we have not seen called for a strike thus far tonight. That's been a ball each time, but there's strike 2 on a bender from Ryan Darcy. So quickly, Nick Carbone with 2 outs falls behind 0-2.
They may be teammates of Manhattan, but they're enemies now.
You betcha. That one's low and outside. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nick Carbone, righty versus righty here, and Manhattan College versus Manhattan College. The 1-2 delivery. Bouncer just gets a piece of it over towards the Silkworms dugout. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 down. Top of the second inning. Silkworms lead the Twisters 2-0. So we said earlier, Larry, it'd be interesting to see who drew first blood. There's a bouncer out to shortstop, and Conley takes it, makes the throw over to first. It's a 6-3 putout, and the Twisters are gone here in the top of the second inning. Silkworms lead the Twisters 2-0.
All right, and now we're going to
the bottom of the second inning, and I'm going to ask my partner, Larry Wright, to call the next inning and a half.
Oh, well, thank you.
As Roy Chartel finishes his warm-ups here as we approach the bottom of the second inning, and it'll be Dan Trubia, Tyler Stefkowitz, and Scott Beatty up for the Silkworms.
So Trubia now coming to the plate. He is the left fielder of the Manchester Silkworms. Rory Shortell trying to put that first inning behind him where he gave up the 2 runs on 3 base hits. So Rory actually did stop the bleeding there. They held him to 2, so the second inning could be make a break inning for Rory as far as the Twisters are concerned tonight. Looks in for the sign, and here's the windup of the pitch, and that one's low for ball 1. Billy Ryan completing the battery for your Twisters tonight along with Rory Shortell.
Yeah, it'll be important for Shortell, like you said, Larry, to keep the boys close here so that they can get the bats on track.
Here's the pitch, and that is on the outside corner for a called strike. The count now goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody down here. From Manchester, Connecticut, WAPJ Radio brings you the Torrington Twisters 2001 season. 5 years of it, I think, Jimmy, we've been doing it.
Yes, sir.
Shortell comes inside with a beautiful pitch. It went right from outside to inside, caught the corner. And the count now goes to 1-2.
My recollection is, Larry, that may be the first time we've seen Rory come inside on that side of that part of the plate.
Shortell now swinging strike 3. Actually foul-tipped it. Good job by Billy Ryan to hold on. So that's a good way to start if you want to kick off this inning by holding them down by striking off a leadoff hitter. And now that brings to the plate the designated hitter for this evening, and that would be
Tyler Stefkowitz.
Tyler Stefkowitz? Stefkowitz.
And Larry just,
Stefkowitz.
Excuse him, he cannot read my writing. Him and about 17 million others.
Stefkowitz, that's it. That's what we'll call him. Let's call him Ty.
He's got
Ty's got a 1 strike count on him anyhow. Shortell now working a lot quicker than he did in the first inning. Comes in a little bit high. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 down. Twisters trail 2-0 in this one.
Thought he was going to get the call on that one.
I did too. It looked good from up here.
Didn't it ever?
Shortell now from the windup. And that one's low on the outside corner for a called ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Rory working a lot more efficiently here in the second inning than he did in the first, where he seemed to be laboring with some of his pitches. Here's the pitch, and that is a line drive. Taberly on 1 hop. Backs up, long throw over to first base. And they have the out. Nice catch there over there by Bobby Newton. And quickly 2 down here in the second inning, the bottom of the second inning for the Manchester Silkworms. And that now is going to bring the third baseman of the Silkworms, Scott Beatty, to the plate.
Comes in at 194.
Shortell from the windup. Fastball right down the middle, called strike. Twisters now trailing 2-0. 2 down here in the home half of the second inning. Shortell winds and fires, and that's fouled right back to the press box here for strike 2. Good thing they got a nice wire mesh thing up here to protect us, Jimmy.
We could be in trouble otherwise.
I don't think this little glass thing's going to help us.
No, sir.
Then they got a net over that, so we're pretty well protected here. Shortell from the windup. Ooh, that one looked like it was right on the outside court. Rory's even got a smile on his face about that one. 1 and 2.
You know, the word has it, Larry, that net is supposed to be not over us. It's supposed to be over us in a different way.
And that one's low now, so the count goes to 2 and 2. 2 down here in the bottom of the second inning.
Shortell definitely working faster, Dave. He was working very deliberately when he was working from the stretch last inning. Plus, he had the sun in his eyes. He might have had trouble picking up the sign.
And the shadows are disappearing. And that one goes up high, so the count goes full. But I'm noticing a different pitcher here in the second inning, a different Rory Shortell. And the sun has started to set a little bit, and these shadows aren't as bad. You still got some down first and third. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Rory Shortell strikes 2 out in the side. And as we head to the top of the third inning, the score of the Manchester Silkworms 2, the Torrington Twisters 0.
And we head now to the top of the third inning. Twisters coming up, and they'll be facing a 2-run deficit, 2-0. And Ryan Darcy, and back to my partner, Larry Wright.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mike McMillan takes a swing and a miss at strike 1 here as we're leading off the third inning. You know, it's a beautiful facility, Jimmy, and the NECBL All-Star Game will be held here Sunday, July 22nd, so make plans for that if you're listening in Torrington. Got to come to Manchester that day. Darcy winds and fires overhead curveball that looked like it hit the dirt, and I'll tell you what, that thing, it picked up dirt, and they called it a strike.
Mike McMillan
even turned around and looked at the umpire. That is unbelievable. 0-2.
And he said a lot with a smile.
And that one, which was more like a strike than the first one, did.
Well, and I think because Mike McMillan smiled only and didn't have any words for the home plate umpire, that he gave him that one back.
1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody down. McMillan looks in at Darcy to swing, and he just barely fouled it off.
Of course, I'm saying that, and the son of a gun can probably hear me because our voices echo right out of this facility here. That was him over there that said that, sir.
Yeah, that was in the stand. I could go incognito the rest of the night here, okay?
Goodness gracious.
Here's the windup in the pitch, and that one curves inside to McMillan. The count now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Twisters trying to get some going here in the top of the third inning. Need a base runner to do it. McMillan, the bottom of the order. He'll be followed by Tabor Lee and Brandon Roberts. Here's the windup in the pitch. Swing and a miss. They've got him down on a strikeout. So Darcy proving every bit to that 1.93 ERA that he had coming into tonight.
That's his second strikeout thus far.
And now the leading average hitter in the NECBL, the Twister shortstop, Tabor Lee. I'll tell you, you get a chance to talk to Tabor. We go through all these NECBL arenas, and he's always there with a smile and a hello to you when he sees you. You know, he's a great young man.
Got a good word for you.
And there's a nice curveball, strike 1. Beautiful curveball by Darcy.
He's mixing up his pitches very nicely.
And Tabor, as usual, took the first pitch. Here's the windup of the pitch. And that one is right down the middle of the plate. Tabor didn't offer, so it's no balls, 2 strikes. 1 down here for the Twisters, who trail 2-0 against the Manchester Silkworms. And here's the pitch from Darcy. That one travels outside. Ball 1, trying to get Tabor to chase it. No offer by the Twister shortstop.
Well off the plate. Tabor knows that strike zone very, very well.
So here's Darcy with a windup in the pitch, and that one is low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tabor, the first time up, grounded out to shortstop. And his second at-bat now. Wearing them now familiar, number 3. Here's the windup in the pitch. A curveball that stayed up top. Darcy kind of got away with one there because he hung that curveball. If it had been in the strike zone, Tabor would have given it a ride.
Yes, and after falling behind 0-2, Tabor Lee has the count back full at 3-2.
Quality at-bat by Tabor. Here's Darcy from the windup in the pitch. And that one goes outside, so Tabor Lee, after being down 2 strikes, draws a 1-out walk for the Twisters. I'll tell you, the little things that this team does amazes me, and that's one of them right there.
And I'll keep my eye keenly on Tabor Lee. Even though they're down 2-0, it's not above him to be taken off to try to get in scoring position.
And Brandon Roberts steps to the plate, and as Twister fans well know by now, he's 1 swing away from tying this thing up. So,
amen to that.
Brandon Roberts now looks in at Darcy. Darcy looking over. Here's the windup and a pitch. Comes inside with a breaking ball that's high for ball 1. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We talked about Darcy before the game. He had 5 walks coming into this game. He's already got 2 so far in 2+ innings.
He does.
Roberts, who grounded out pitcher to first his first time up. And that one is sliced foul. Brandon went chasing after a pitch. It may have been a little bit on the outside part of the plate.
He went chasing. The left fielder, Larry, Dan Trubia, is playing what I consider to be
left center.
Well, he's kind of shallow also, and Brandon Roberts had an idea to inside out that ball. We've seen him pull the ball on a number of occasions this year and pull it hard. There's a throw over to first base, nothing doing. But Brandon Roberts was going to go with that outside pitch. Didn't quite get around on it as he followed back to the screen. And it is a 1-1 count to Brandon Roberts with one down. Top of the third inning, 2-0. Silkworms lead the Twisters.
Tabor had a smile on his face. He didn't know why that throw was over there. He's standing on the back.
It was indeed, too.
Here goes Darcy. Tabor faked the move. Goes back. That ball's fouled off. 1-2, one down. The Twisters down 2-0. Tabor Lee on first base. Setting the defense for you, Beatty at shortstop, Evan Connolly at short, Mike Dugan at second, Jesse Nelson at first base for the Silkworms, Dan Trivia in left, Chris D'Onofrio in center, and Glenn Morris in right. Ryan Darcy looking in. Here's the windup and a pitch, and there's a foul ball as Tabor Lee was off with a pitch.
He had that base stolen.
Tabor trying to get himself into scoring position here. You do this one run at a time, Jimmy.
Did you notice Ryan Darcy checking the runner by looking to second base on that pitch?
Yeah.
Well, no, unless that's how he checks the runner at first. I've never seen that before.
He may be getting a sign from either a second baseman or a shortstop if there's a play on with Tabor Lee at first base.
It's the only thing I can think of.
So Tabor, who was off now, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tabor's gone again, and there's a shot deep to right field. It's going back. And it's off the glove of the right fielder, and that is a fair ball. Glenn Morris dropped the ball. Tabor Lee heading to third, into second with a error. Is that an error? We're going to call that an error on Glenn Morris, who had to in his defense, he had a long run to get that ball. And it was hit way down at about the 3:15 mark, and Morris kept going, and it bounced off his glove. Now with one out, Tabor Lee at third, and Brendan Roberts at second. And now Bobby Newton, the first baseman of the Twisters, comes up with 2 runners in scoring position, and just hoping at least one at a time get this thing in.
And Glenn Morris slapping his thigh with his glove out there because he wanted that one.
Here's the windup in the pitch, and that one is outside corner for a called strike. No balls and 1 strike to Bobby Newton, who would love to do this.
Larry, Bobby Newton with a line single his first time up. Would love to have another one of those right here.
Anything to right field, and that's 2 Twister runs with the speed they've got. Here's the windup in the pitch, and that is sliced into left field, and it's caught out there, and Tabor Lee did not tag. He got, what a great catch out there by Trubia. He came down and caught it right off the shoe tops. 2 down now, and that will bring to the plate the very dangerous Nate Gold.
That play could loom very, very big in what could prove to be a tight ball game, Larry, as that ball, again, Bobby Newton roped that out to left field. Tabor Lee thinking that it was going to maybe fall. He was a few feet off the base. By the time he got back, Trubia was able to get up from one knee, and he wasn't 50 feet beyond the grass out there.
Nate takes curveball for a called strike. No balls, 1 strike, 2 down now for the Twisters, who have runners on second and third in the form of Tabor Lee and Brandon Roberts, who is on second base, and the ever-dangerous Nate Gold at the plate, and the even equally dangerous Ryan Darcy on the mound.
First base is open.
So here's the pitch, and that is a ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Mike Leonard, the catcher. And, you look at this outfield, and everybody's deep for Gold, except Glenn Morris is playing more towards center field. They don't really expect him to inside out it. They pretty much expect Nate's going to pull this baseball.
Dead pull, right, yeah.
So Darcy now looks in. Here's the windup and a pitch. And that is a called strike, and
super location by Darcy as Mike Leonard set up right on the outside corner, and Darcy planted it right where he wanted to.
This is one of those little sub-battles within the game itself that you enjoy so much. Darcy against Gold. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Who's going to win it? Here's the windup and a pitch. And that one is up high and outside, 2-2. Deuces wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 Twisters on base.
Big moment early in this ball game, Lair, as the Twisters threatening now with 2 down runners on second and third.
Darcy looks into Leonard. Here's the windup and the pitch. And that is grounded towards shortstop. Evan Connolly's up with it, and he makes a long throw over to first base to Jesse Nelson to end the threat. The Silkworms get out of it. And after 2.5 innings here from Manchester, the score, the Manchester Silkworms 2, your Torrington Twisters nothing.
As we're set to go here in the bottom of the third inning, I'm joined now in the booth by Jeremy Polutro, as Roy Shortell will be facing the Silkworms. Down are the Twisters 2-0, as the Silkworms will have their leadoff batter, Mike Dugan, coming up to the plate. So, Jeremy, why don't you take it away, fella?
Thank you very much, Jim. So Mike Dugan will lead off this inning, the Manchester second baseman. Reached base on a single in the first inning. Steps out. Shortell on the mound, looks in for the signs. First pitch to Dugan is inside for a ball.
Dugan scored the first run of the game for the Silkworms after that infield squibbler.
1-0 pitch is foul down the first base side, way off in the corner. 1-1 now on Dugan. Bottom of the third inning, 2-0 score in favor of Manchester. At bottom of the third inning, bottom of the third inning. 1 ball, 1 strike on Dugan. The kick, the pitch from Shortell is low inside for a ball. At the strike, he's swinging. Swing and a miss, strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shortell's pitch is outside for a ball.
Sweeping curveball there by Shortell. Tried to get him to go fishing, but Dugan did not offer. Counted even at 2-2.
Pitch from Shortell is bouncer to the third baseman, but threw his glove and into left field. So it's, I don't know if that'd be an error, but single for Dugan. So Dugan on first now. That brings up Evan Conley, the Manchester shortstop. He's 1 for 1 also. A single in the first inning.
Error on the play being charged to Justin McLean, who was caught in between as he tried to back step for that one and catch it in between, but the ball never came up. I think it hit the edge of the infield grass there and scooted down and was under. He didn't get in front of the ball. He tried to field it from the side, and as a result, Dugan is on first base on the error by Justin McLean.
First pitch to Conley is a strike. 0-1.
So the Silkworms with the leadoff runner again here, bottom of the third inning, same as what they did in the first.
Throw over to first, and Dugan is back in time.
With a 2-0 lead, we'll have to keep a close eye on Mike Dugan over at first base because they may have something on here. Justin McLean playing at the edge of the infield grass at third base.
No balls, 1 strike. Pitch from Shortell, bunted and foul down the third baseline.
As you should do on a sacrifice situation, Rory Shortell was his target that time was Evan Conley's navel, and Evan Conley was able to get the bat on the ball, but mostly in terms of self-preservation, as the count now goes 0-2 to him. My guess is the bunt will not be on now. He paid the price on that one.
So Evan Conley, no balls, 2 strikes. Kick the pitch for Shortell is fouled on the first base side, going foul. So actually, first baseman almost goes over, makes the catch. I thought it was definitely over the fence, but he almost made a catch on that foul ball.
Nate Gold on the warning track. Tough chance. If you ever see on the highlight films on Major League Baseball, the guys that make those plays, I don't know how they do it. Nate Gold almost was able to get a glove on that ball, but was unable to gather it in. 0-2, count remains to Conley as he checks down with the third base coach, person to person, to see what's going on. They may have something going with 2 strikes here, and Mike Dugan at first base.
Nobody out, bottom of the third inning, 2-0 score. Manchester leads. Shortell's pitch is a strike, called strike 3. So, Evan Conley called out on strikes. And that brings up Chris Denorfia, the center fielder.
Shortell through Conley.
Play in the first inning, he's 0 for 1, the catcher. Mike Leonard.
And now Coach from the third base box is going to go over and take a closer look at Jess Nelson as he took that pitch just off or below the kneecap. That had to hurt as Coach Gary Marino goes over. And it'll be interesting to see if Nelson's able to stay in the game, quite honestly. He's going to be one hurting pup tomorrow for sure.
Nelson is taking a jog down the first base foul line to see how that leg feels, going back and forth.
Get the ice packs ready. He's going to stay in there as Marino goes back to his spot over on the third base side. More importantly for the Twisters, the Silkworms have the bases loaded with still just one out, and Mike Leonard, the catcher, at the plate.
Leonard hitting .250 going into this game. Shortell kicks, delivers, and pitch is a strike. Called strike one on Leonard.
Curveball by Shortell on the outside part of the plate.
Once again, 2-0 score. Manchester leads. 0-1 pitch is outside for ball. 1-1. All the runners go back. Dugan on third, DeNorfie on second, and Nelson on first now with the pitch-by-pitch. Shortell's 1-1 pitch is hit hard into short left center field, falling in. Dugan comes on to score, and then DeNorfie comes in to score. Throw in, and 2-run score, so the score is now 4-1. 4-0 lead by Manchester. Nice hit by Leonard. Corey Hahn is warming up in the bullpen for Torrington, just in case.
Yeah, Mike Leonard took that pitch and hit a soft line drive into left field, and Nick Carbone was unable to get the ball in time to make it even a play at the plate. Silkworms score 2 to take the 4-0 lead.
First pitch to Glenn Morris is well outside for a ball. Morris, the right fielder for Manchester, grounded out to the second baseman in the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Morris comes in hitting .227. 1-0 pitch is inside for a ball. 2 balls, no strikes on Glenn Morris. Morris is a left-handed batter. Runners on second and first now. 4-0 lead now by Manchester Silkworms in the bottom of the third inning. Shortell's pitch is hit hard, but down the first base line, just foul.
Runners were on the move on that pitch. Count is 2-1. So with the 2-0 pitch, the runners were off. The Silkworms figuring that Shortell was going to have to come in with something that Glenn Morris could drive. He was out a little bit ahead of it and pulled it down the first base side. So the runners go back to first and second. Shortell now from the stretch.
2-1 pitch is hit, bounced to first baseman Nate Gold, drops it but picks it up and is able to run to first base and get him out in time. So
Bobby Newton with the play down at first base, unassisted. That is 2 outs now here, bottom of the third inning. Runners move up to second and third. Nelson is around at third, and Leonard's over at second base. Coach Marino checking with Nelson over at third base to see how that knee feels after he was hit by the pitch right on the kneecap. Fastball from Shortell. 4-0 Silkworms.
First pitch to Dan Trubia is inside for a ball. 2 outs. Trubia, the left fielder, is a right-handed batter. 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the second inning. And Nelson on third and Leonard on second. Pitch is bounced foul on third baseline. 1-1. Dan Trubia comes into the game hitting .176. Leads with 6 base on balls. Leads his team with 6 base on balls. Steps back in there. And runners on second and third. 2 outs. Bottom of the third. Shortell looks in. Kicks, delivers, and inside pitch 2 balls, 1 strike. Runners go back. Again, Shortell pitched a very good game last week at Fuseness Park. 2-hit shutout.
Yes, indeed.
Pitches bounce to the second baseman, picks it up but drops it, but is able to toss over to first and get the third out of the inning. So the side is retired. Dan Trubia grounds out. So at the end of 3 full innings, 4-0 score, Manchester leads.
Twisters, through the first 3 innings, looking a bit flat out here tonight. Even on plays that they've made, they have bobbled the ball before being able to complete the plays. And the Silkworms taking advantage of the leadoff batters getting on in the first and the third innings, plated 2 runs each of those innings, and now, after 3 complete, enjoy a 4-0 lead. Billy Ryan coming to the plate for the Twisters.
In between innings, Coach Greg Hunt had a team meeting in front of the dugout, and Shortell went down to the bullpen, so we'll have to see what happens there. First pitch to Billy Ryan is low outside for a ball. Billy Ryan struck out in the first inning. The right-handed batter. Coming into the game hitting .333. Pitch is hit hard to the third baseman, bouncing. Comes up with it and throws across to get him out. So that would be Beatty up at the play on that one. 1 away. And then Justin McLean will come up with 1 out. Top of the 4th inning. McLean's the Torrington third baseman. 1 for 1. Single in the 2nd inning.
Kind of wondering what happened to our defensive sheet. Would I move it again? The wind? Nah, not the wind.
Pitch is called strike. Strike 1 on Justin McLean.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
Pitch from Darcy is hit hard into left field. Falls in for a base hit.
Justin McLean with the rope single into left field, and he is now 2 for 2 on the evening with 1 out. The Twisters have the runner at first base, Justin McLean, for Adam Haley, who bounced into the 1-6-3 double play in the 2nd inning.
Adam Haley, left-handed batter, 1 out. Ryan Darcy on the mound, looks in. First pitch to Haley is swing and miss, strike 1. McLean on first. Adam Haley hit into the 1-6-3 double play in the 2nd inning. 0-1 pitch from Darcy, low outside for a ball, 1-1. As mentioned, Adam Haley had a nice night, I believe it was Friday night here at Manchester. 1-1 pitch is hit high, foul, way back on first base side.
And Jay, I'd like to just make one announcement. We have a listener back in Torrington whose son is at the ballpark tonight assisting the Twisters as bat boy. And that listener's name is Tracy Soshan. We wish her all the best. She'll be heading over to Farmington tomorrow for some surgery, and we hope she's okay. There's a line drive single on her behalf by Adam Haley out to center field, right center actually, fielded out there by the center fielder, Denorfia, and that puts runners on first and second with 1 out. Our single by Adam Haley advancing Justin McLean over to second base. So that hit was for you, Tracy Soshan, and we wish you all the best over in Farmington tomorrow.
That was a nice hit by Adam Haley as Nick Carbone steps in, the Twisters left fielder, with 2 runners on.
Manhattan College versus Manhattan College here.
Swing and miss for strike 1.
Nick grounded to shortstop his first time up.
So McLean and Haley both on with singles. Runners on second and first take their lead. 0-1 pitch to Carbone is bounces. Catcher checks the runners. Low for a ball.
Nick Carbone checked his swing nicely on that one as he was thinking of cutting this lead down in a hurry on that ball that ended up breaking into the dirt right at the plate. So it's a 1-1 count to Nick Carbone.
With 1 out. 1-1 pitch from Darcy is fouled out of play on the first base line.
Carbone falls behind 1 ball and 2 strikes here. Top of the 4th inning, 1 down. Twisters trail the Manchester Silkworms 4-0 by the thus far shutout pitching by Ryan Darcy.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Carbone. Darcy checks the runner at second. Hicks delivers, and hard hit over the second baseman's head into short, right center field, and runner comes in to score from third, and on third base is Haley. So McLean comes in to score for the first run of the game for Torrington.
Nick Carbone with his first RBI as a member of the Torrington Twisters, and couldn't have come at a better time as Justin McLean rounds third base, scores the first Twisters run on the play. Adam Haley took third base as that ball was, as Jeremy said, into right center field. No chance out there for Denorfia to get the ball in time to stop Haley over at third base. Nick Carbone with the RBI single. It's a 4-1 Silkworm lead now with Mike McMillan up with runners on first and third.
First pitch to McMillan from Darcy is called strike 1.
Mike McMillan wishes he had that pitch back because that was a hanging curveball that Mike McMillan would have loved to have drived. It's one of those deals, you hang them, we bang them. And Mike McMillan, unless he takes the first pitch like Tabor Lee all the time, wasn't going to do it then. Takes that pitch as he checks the swing. It's 1-1 now to Mike McMillan. 1 down, runners on first and third.
McMillan is 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the third inning. So he'd like to get on base and drive in a run right now.
3 straight singles by the Twisters after 1 was out. They've got 1 run in here.
1-1 pitch is taken for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Kind of high and outside.
Tony Stutz loosening up down the left field line for the Twisters. Not in the bullpen, just doing some soft tossing.
The 2-1 pitch is taken outside for a ball. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Tough pitch to take. That was just off the outside part of the plate, a fastball. Mike McMillan waited on it, and now he's got the count in his favor big time, 3-1.
Carbone leads from first, Haley from third. The pitch is taken for a strike on the inside corner. 3 balls, 2 strikes, full count now on McMillan.
He was looking for something sweet, but it wasn't sweet enough. It was inside a little bit too much for Mike to really drive.
Darcy's full count pitch is hit hard in the short center field, and the center fielder makes a diving attempt, but it bounces out of his glove, and Haley comes on to score. So 2 runs score this inning for Torrington.
Haley scores is right, Jeremy. On the play, Nick Carbone was frozen about 2/3 of the way down between first and second as Denorfia made a diving attempt on that ball and just missed it. It kicked away from his glove and allowed Nick who looked like he was going to be turning back to first base, was able to get himself going towards second again and get into second base easily. 4-2 now, Silkworms lead. Runners on first and second.
Tabor Lee, first pitch to him, hit on hard on the ground as a pitcher, but through. Shortstop comes over and fires the first. Nice heads-up play by the shortstop. Got over there in a hurry and was able to nip Tabor Lee.
Tabor Lee, no eyes on that one as it was hit up the middle, but the infield grass slowed that one down, and the play was able to be made by Conley, but he was not able to get the force at second. Runners with 2 outs now move up to second and third. Carbone around at third, and Mike McMillan is at second base.
Brandon Roberts now at the plate. First pitch to him from Darcy is hit hard right down the first base line, going foul.
Just about a foot foul. Had that stayed fair and past Nelson, that would have tied up this game. But Brandon Roberts now has an 0-1 count. He'll be looking for something else he can drive, as seems to be a little bit of a chink in Darcy's armor here. Top of the 4th inning as the Twisters have busted in for 2. They trail 4-2.
0-1 pitch to Roberts is taken low for a ball. 1-1. Roberts got on base in the 3rd inning on an error by the right fielder.
Roberts looking to tie this game up here. Could do it with a base hit with 2 down. Top of the 4th inning.
Pitch is taken for a strike.
Nice curveball by Darcy. Absolutely froze Roberts says he thought that pitch was going to be way outside, and it curved in over the plate nicely. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Big pitch there by Darcy to get up in the count against Roberts.
With 2 outs in the top of the 4th. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Brandon Roberts. Carbone leads from 3rd. Kick the pitch from Darcy is hit hard into short right field. Coming over, nice diving attempt by the right fielder, but not quite as it bounces away from him. He has to come and pick it up and throw it in. Carbone scores and McMillan scores.
Brandon Roberts with a 2-out, 2 RBI double. This game is tied in the top of the 4th inning, 4-4. As Jeremy says, Carbone and McMillan come around to score. Brandon Roberts nailed that pitch, but again, talk about a game of inches. The right fielder, Glenn Morris, he got a glove on that ball, but was not able to squeeze it for the out. And just like that, we've got a tie ball game. Absolutely. Bobby Newton comes up with a chance to put the Twisters up as Brandon Roberts on the hustle gets over to second base, and he's now in scoring position. We're going to have action in the Manchester Silkworms bullpen.
So with Roberts at second, Robert Newton, first pitch to him, is taken for a ball.
Darcy wanted that one. He wanted to get ahead of Newton so he could get out of this. He's already given up 4 runs in the top of the 4th inning, 4 consecutive singles, then followed by a 2-out double by Brandon Roberts to tie this game up at 4 apiece. We're in a brand new ball game here, and Larry and I were saying this was going to be a pitcher's duel, but you can kiss that idea goodbye.
1-0 pitch to Newton is hit on the ground to the shortstop. Conley fires over, and he's retired for the 3rd out. So 4 big runs score. Score is now tied. So at the end of 3.5 innings, it's a tied score.
Well, we're going now to the bottom of the 4th inning, and as I turn the action back over to Jeremy Polutro, my partner in the booth right now, I see that the Twisters have made a pitching change, and that's, I believe, C.J. Giampaolo in.
Absolutely. C.J. Giampaolo is the new pitcher, getting his warm-up tosses in as we enter the bottom of the 4th.
And I think it needs to be said that this is the first role for C.J. in a game situation where the game is really and truly close and on the line. He's been in a couple of other situations where he was able to just get in some action and to get those first-year Torrington native butterflies out of his system. But now that he's had a couple of appearances like that, Coach Greg Hunt has thrown him into this fire over in Manchester tonight after 3.5 innings. We've got a tie ball game at 4 apiece. Rory Shortell having gone just 3 innings and given up 4 runs.
Taylor Stefkovich steps in as designated hitter to lead off the bottom of the 4th. First pitch to him from Giampaolo is taken low for a ball. Stefkovich is 0 for 1 so far in this game. Stefkovich comes in hitting 167. Pitch from him is taken low for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 balls, no strikes on Stefkovich.
One of the keys that we had mentioned before for C.J. Giampaolo was for him to get up early in the count. He's fallen behind 2-0 on Stefkovich, his first batter here tonight.
Pitch from Giampaolo is low outside for a ball. 3 balls, no strikes.
The Silkworms have done damage when they put the leadoff batter on in both the 1st and the 3rd inning.
Pitch to him is taken for a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike. Now we have the first strike on him. That's always a plus for the pitcher.
Scott Beatty waits on deck for the Silkworms.
3-1 pitch to him. Low outside, ball 4. So Stefkovich is on with the base on balls to lead off the 4th inning. Bottom of the 4th inning.
Bobby Newton going over to have a word with C.J. And it's probably one of those situations. Bobby's got a big smile on his face. And he probably just reminded him, just loosen up as best you can and go after these dudes and let us do the work. Scott Beatty up with the runner. Stefkovich on with the leadoff walk at first base.
Beatty squares the bunt and hits a high bouncing down the third baseline. Everybody's safe. Third baseman McLean checked both bases, but didn't have time to get either runner, so they both advanced.
Nice bunt on the sacrifice attempt by Scott Beatty. What he gets is a base hit out of the deal. No, he gets charged with an at-bat, but he also gets credit for a base hit, as that was a beautifully placed bunt. Justin McLean unable to do anything. It was about 35 feet up the line, just inside the line, and off the dirt onto the grass, and Justin McLean was unable to make a play anywhere. Runners on first and second, and nobody out. Leadoff runners on for the Silkworms. 4-4 the score. Bottom of the fourth inning from Manchester.
Mike Dugan steps in, a right-handed batter with 2 runners on.
And Mike Dugan's been on both times, 1 for 2 on an error his last time up, but has scored 2 of the 4 Manchester runs.
Apollo checks the runner at second, kicks, delivers, squares the bunt again, but holds back.
No, he offered it that one, and that's a called strike one, as he reached across home plate and offered at that pitch, and he's called for the strike because that pitch was off the plate and low, but he wanted desperately to get that ball down. He was aiming towards Bobby Newton's first base side to advance the runners. 0-1 to Dugan.
Stefkovich and Beatty lead off. Second and first. Pitch from Jim Paulo, squared the bunt, bounce, fouled on third base side.
That time he tried to do the same thing that Beatty did, and he almost was able to accomplish it, but the ball did go foul. Would have been a tough play had it stayed fair. The end result is an 0-2 count now. Jim Paulo ahead of Dugan. Runners on first and second. The infielders still playing at double play depth. McLean and Newton at third and first, respectively, in on the grass.
The 0-2 pitch from Jim Paulo is fouled over the fence behind home plate.
Defensive swing there by Dugan as he just gets the end of the bat on that ball and flares it over by the concession stand here in Manchester.
No balls, 2 strikes on Mike Dugan. Runners lead from first and second. Jim Paulo looks in for the sign. Sets. Kick the pitch, hit, bounce down third baseline, going foul.
Justin McLean, if that ball would have been fair, Justin McLean backhand step on third and get the ball over to first for an easy double play. That could have been, would have been, should have been, but can't say that. No Monday morning quarterbacking in this game. It's a 2-strike count still to Dugan. Runners on first and second. Nobody down.
Paulo looks back at the runner a second. 0-2 pitch is fouled on the first base side.
Again, nice piece of hitting by Dugan as he stays alive on that very close pitch on the outside part of the plate. Flares it off over by the Little League field next to us here, beyond the dugout on the first base side. Jim Paulo looking in, still with the 2-strike count on Dugan. Runners lead.
0-2 pitch to Dugan is hit hard over into short. Left center field, bouncing in there for a hit. So bases are now loaded. Dugan with the single. All the runners advance. Bases loaded.
And Stefkovich had to hold for a brief second as he was unable to tell whether or not that ball was going to hang long enough for Mike McMillan to get to it. By the time he saw that it was going to drop, and take off the third base, he did not have time to make a play towards going home. It goes as a single for Dugan. Tremendous at-bat by Mike Dugan, fighting off a couple or 3 0-2 pitches. With the bases loaded, that brings Evan Conley to the plate.
With the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the fourth inning, the score tied. First pitch to him from C.J. Jim Paulo is taken for strike 1.
Breaking pitch by Jim Paulo gets ahead of the batter, Conley, who's 1 for 2.
Conley's right-handed batter, Manchester shortstop. Jim Paulo sets, and the pitch to him is low outside.
Nice backhanded stop there made by Billy Ryan to keep the ball from going back to the backstop. Would have been the first play that we had seen here in our second game here from Manchester. We are not far behind the home plate area here, and that ball doesn't have far to travel. It would have been interesting to see if there was a play at the plate.
1-1 count on Conley. Pitch to him. Strike. Taken.
Beautiful pitch, jammed him, and C.J. Giampaolo has a look of harsh determination on his face right now. He wants to work his way out of this situation that he's got himself in. Warm-up action in the Twisters bullpen.
1-2 pitch to Conley. It's hit into the air to right center field, and Brandon Roberts makes the catch.
Brandon Roberts fell down, getting out of the hole out there as he may have twisted his ankle. He fell down, and as it turns out, he was able to get up, make the play on the ball, which was hit about 5 strides away from him, and it was not deep enough for the runner at third base, Stepkovich, to try to come home. So fly ball and 1 out. Fly ball to Conley. I would have thought for sure that he was coming to why. I don't even think my sister would have held up that runner at third base, to be honest with you. Shouldn't second guess, though. Maybe Stepkovich has got a bad wheel right now. Could have turned an ankle or something, and he may be playing sore. So it's easy for me to say from my perch up here in the booth. But there's 1 down now, and Denorfia's up.
Chris Denorfia, right-handed batter, steps in, Manchester center fielder. First pitch to him from Giampaolo is taken for a strike.
It could be that Coach does not want to take them out of a potential big inning, as I'm sure he saw Brandon Roberts fall. He was not squared up and ready to throw. He does have a fabulous arm, but still.
0-1 pitch is low outside for a ball. Bases loaded for Chris Denorfia. 1 out. Tie score. The lights are on now. Still some daylight. Getting into the twilight, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, and you can see the lights out on the yachts and the lake and the bay over the right field fence out there. People coming in for cocktails, enjoying the game.
1-1 pitch to Denorfia is low for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. He checks the signs to third base coach. Denorfia was on with a single in the 3rd inning, and later scored.
Twisters from the dugout encouraging CJ to induce a ground ball here.
Pitch to him is taken for a ball. 3 balls, 1 strike. Inside for a ball. On deck, Jesse Nelson.
Got to come in here at 3-1, or chance walking in the go-ahead run.
Denorfia leads his team with 8 runs scored. 3-1 pitch to him from C.J. Giampaolo with foul straight back behind us.
Count is full now to Denorfia. And C.J. is really determined. He's upset with himself that he's gotten himself into this situation, but he has like I said, a fierce look of determination on his face out there on the mound.
He definitely doesn't look lost in the situation, even though it's a very tough situation.
Mm-hmm.
3-2 count to him is outside and foul straight back.
May have swung at ball 4 there as the count remains full. CJ may have gotten a break there. Count remains full, 1 down, bases loaded, bottom of the 4th inning, in a tie ball game right now from Manchester between the Silkworms and the Twisters.
1 out, bases loaded, Chris Denorfia. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Giampaolo looks in. Set. And the 3-2 pitch is swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Oh, CJ thought he had out number 3, and he was going towards the dugout. He's just too pumped up, but he got Denorfia to swing at the high, hard one. There are 2 outs now. CJ is not out of the woods. Bases remain loaded for Jess Nelson.
Jesse Nelson got on with a double in the 1st and was hit by a pitcher in the 3rd inning. He leads the team with 17 hits, 4 doubles, 3 homers, and 8 RBIs. Left-handed batter. First pitch to him from Giampaolo is taken high for a ball. 1-0.
CJ's got to just concentrate on working the batter. Tied for 8th in batting average in the league. Jess Nelson came in at .333, 1 for 1 on the evening.
The 1-0 pitch is hit hard to Tabor Lee, jumps up and snags that one for the third out of the inning. So no run score. It's been a tough situation for CJ Jim Powell and Torrington Twisters, but they get out of it. And at the end of 4 complete innings, score is still tied 4-4.
Our Manchester Silkworm counterpart to my right was going to hand me a note a second ago. Do we have a pitching change? No. Okay. All right. Yeah, Jess Nelson has done such a fine job for the Silkworms here. He was voted Player of the Week in the first week in action in the NECBL, and we can certainly see why. Twisters come up now here in the top of the 5th inning, and they'll have Nate Gold.
Nate Gold, the designated hitter, 0 for 1 with a base on ball in the first inning. First pitch to him from Darcy is taken outside for a ball. Again, Gold comes into this game hitting .333, 13 hits and 2 doubles. Hit hard down the third base line, but going foul. 1 ball, 1 strike on Nate Gold.
Well, C.J. Jim Powell certainly dodged a bullet or two in the bottom of that 4th inning. I can tell you that much right now, as he had the bases loaded with 1 out and was able to wiggle out of it.
1-1 pitch to Gold is high for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Yeah,
go ahead. Now, I was going to say, now we're going to see if the Twisters can take advantage of that right here.
Oh, yeah, Jim Powell seemed like he was going strong, even though it was a very tough inning.
He was throwing hard, and he was working real hard in that inning.
2-1 pitch to Gold is swing and a miss for strike 2, 2-2.
Nate Gold was about a minute and a half ahead of that one, and he wishes he had that hanging curve ball back, as that was high in the zone and looked like a pitch that he could really deliver.
That was a very slow swing. Looked like an indecision swing, you know. Pitch is hit high in the air to center field.
And deep.
Going deep center fielder, going toward the fence. Doesn't quite get to it as he falls down. The ball bounces away. He picks it up, and Nate Gold rounds second on his way to third. Throw in is cut off, and he is safe. Triple
for Nate Gold, as he absolutely tattooed that ball to straightaway center just before the warning track out there. And the center fielder, Kristen Orfeo, saw early on that it was going to be out there, and he turned on the ball, tried to make an over-the-head catch, could not. And Gold ends up at third base with a leadoff triple here in the top of the 5th inning.
That brings Billy Ryan up, the Twisters catcher, who's 0 for 2. First pitch to him from Darcy is taken for ball 1. And that was a nice try by the center fielder,
Kristen Orfeo, yes, absolutely. And Mike Leonard is now out to have a word with Darcy to try to calm him down. Nate Gold is not discriminating in that he doesn't care who he pounds the ball against, so Darcy should not feel bad that he took him deep on that one.
Ryan Darcy with the pitch taken for a strike. 1-1 on Billy Ryan.
Billy Ryan almost offered at that inside corner fastball from Darcy, but he would have been jammed and not being able to do anything with it. He was wise to hold off on it.
1-1 pitch from Darcy is hit hard to the third baseman. Beatty up with it, throws across, and Ryan is retired at third. Gold stays at third.
Justin McLean now coming up with a chance to deliver the go-ahead run. Justin is 2 for 2 on the evening with a run scored.
Justin McLean, the third baseman.
Infield still playing in.
The shortstop.
At the edge of the grass, huh? Second baseman a few steps back, but the runners, the players at the corner are right at the edge of the grass, too.
First pitch to McMillan is taken outside for ball 1.
Justin McLean looking for a pitch that he can drive and at least get a sacrifice fly out of this. Wants to get the ball in the air to the outfield.
1-0 pitch to McLean is taken high for ball 2. I still keep calling McLean McMillan and McMillan McLean. I'm going to get them straight one of these days.
Adam Haley waits on deck. 1 down, top of the 5th inning.
2-0 pitch is taken for strike 1.
Not a pitch that Justin McLean was going to be able to do too much with unless he was going to take that ball and deliver it to right field. That was nicely located by Darcy on the outside corner.
Nate Gold leads from third, and the pitch is inside for ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike.
First base open here. They may pitch very carefully to McLean and put a potential double play situation in effect with Adam Haley coming up next.
Top of the 5th, score tied 4-4, 1 out. 3-1 pitch is hit high in the air to short, right center field, and the right fielder makes the catch, Glenn Morris. And the throw home, Nate Gold comes in to score. So the score is now Torrington take the lead, 5-4.
And the guys in the Twisters dugout are elated as Justin McLean delivers the sacrifice fly and the RBI. Nice job by Justin McLean. It looked like there was going to be a closer play at the plate, but the throw was a little bit on the first base side of the bag, and the catcher, Leonard, was not able to make the sweep tag.
First pitch is bunted and fouled off behind home plate.
Twisters take the lead here, top of the 5th inning, 5-4. They've scored 5 unanswered runs after the Silkworms got out to the 4-0 lead in the 3rd inning. So Adam Haley now with 2 down, nobody on base. See if he can get something else going here for the Twisters.
0-1 pitch from Darcy is taken for strike 2.
Nice breaking pitch by Darcy right there. Places that one right on the outside corner. 0-2 to Adam Haley.
Haley was on with a single in the 4th and then hit into the 1-6-3 double play back in the 2nd inning. 0-2 pitch to him is fouled straight back of the screen right in front of us, right to our left here. If there wasn't a screen there, it would have been bouncing around in here with us. Yeah,
one of us would have had that for dessert. That's for doggone sure. Still a 2-strike count with 2 down here. Top of the 5th inning. Adam Haley at the plate. Twisters have taken the 5-4 lead.
0-2 pitch is hit, bounced to the second baseman, and tosses over to first for the 3rd out. So at the end of 4.5 innings, Torrington takes the lead, 5-4.
As we head now to the bottom of the 5th inning, the Silkworms come up trailing in this game for the first time. Twisters having taken the lead, 5-4, in the top of the 5th inning, and I'll go ahead and take the play-by-play here then.
Sure.
All right. Give you a little bit of a break, and then you and Larry can do the last 3 innings as I go to the stands to see my Silkworms are going to have Mike Leonard, Glenn Morris, and Dan Trubia up. C.J. Giampaolo on the mound for the Twisters in his 2nd inning of work. First pitch is a bouncer down to Justin McLean. Nice hop for Justin. Hard throw over to first base, and Bobby Newton puts it away. The 5-3 putout, and there's 1 down. Bottom of the 5th inning. The Silkworms will send Glenn Morris, right fielder, to the plate. Mike Leonard was 1 for 2 with a 2-run double in the 3rd. Morris is 0 for 2 and looks at called strike 1 from C.J. Giampaolo, making his 3rd appearance for the Twisters. The 0-1 delivery. Bouncer to Bobby Newton. Nicely fielded. Played there on a nice underhand scoop over to C.J. Giampaolo. The boys give themselves high fives as C.J. Giampaolo got over there in a hurry. Bobby Newton made a nice play right at the line, stumbled just a bit and realized that he was not going to be able to get the speedy Glenn Morris down at first base, so he made the underhand toss quickly to C.J. Giampaolo as he came across the bag. It's a 3-1 putout. Nice, nifty play. That's the defense we've come to enjoy.
That was a difficult play. It looked like it entered the glove at the base of his glove.
Yeah, he did not get that into webbing by any stretch of the imagination, as he had to go down and towards the line for that tough 2-hopper, did Bobby Newton. The 0-1 delivery is just slow. Ball 1. It's 1-1 to Dan Trubia, left fielder. 0 for 2 on the evening. So quickly here in the bottom of the 5th, C.J. Giampaolo has retired the first 2 batters. Dan Trubia trying to get something going for the Silkworms with 2 down. Swinging strike 2 at 1-2 to the Silkworms left fielder, Dan Trubia, from UConn and a local fella from Tolland, Connecticut. CJ's 1-2 delivery, swung on, back to the net to our right. Count remains 1-2. Well, the Twisters, as we said, having scored 5 unanswered runs after the Silkworms jumped out to a 4-0 lead against Rory Shortell. CJ Giampaolo in the dirt with that pitch brings the count to 2-2 with 2 down.
The thing I noticed about a lot of the Silkworms players, they come from a lot of the local colleges that we hear a lot from around here. There's a few from UConn, University of Hartford, one from Central Connecticut State University.
There's a bouncer down to Justin McLean. Backs up, makes the play over to first base. The 5-3 putout retires the side in the bottom of the 5th inning. 1-2-3 inning for C.J. Giampaolo. Twisters set down the Silkworms, and it's 5-4 Twisters over the Silkworms after 5 innings.
Torrington Twisters baseball on WAPJ. So as we enter the 6th inning, the score, Torrington leads 5-4, and here's Jim Pashley.
Thank you, Jeremy. Nick Carbone will be up to face Ryan Darcy, still in the game for the Silkworms. I don't mean that to denigrate Ryan Darcy, as he's pitched well for the Silkworms prior to tonight. He has given up all 5 runs to the Twisters. Breaking pitches in there for called strike 1 to Nick Carbone, who is 1 for 2. Last time up, he had an RBI single to get things going for the Twisters. He knocked in the first run of the game for the Twisters. There's a ball low, 1-1 to Nick Carbone. There's a bouncer over to second base. Nick hustling, but he's beaten over there by the throw from Dugan to Nelson. 4-3 putout. And with 1 down, that will bring up Mike McMillan, center fielder. His second time up last inning. He also, like Nick Carbone, had an RBI single. He knocked in the 2nd run for the Twisters. Mike McMillan shows bunt, but takes ball 1. Twisters with the 5-4 advantage here, top of the 6th inning. Ryan Darcy into the windup. The 1-1 pitch, low and in the dirt. I'm sorry, the 1-0 pitch. It's now 2-0 to Mike McMillan. Jeremy, you made a good point before on the local flavor of the Manchester Silkworms. Local, when I mean Connecticut-based, Southington, University of Connecticut, Tolland, University of Hartford, that sort of thing. The 2-1 delivery is in there for called strike. It is 2-1. We see a blend of that sort of thing. I know Lowell last year, for example, they were loaded with Boston area and Lowell area players and did very, very well. Strike called to Mike McMillan. 2-2 now, evens the count. Last year also, Middletown, for the 2nd year in a row, had 11 Connecticut ball players, 13 the year before. Swinging strike 3, Mike McMillan goes down. Quickly, there are 2 down here in the top of the 6th inning. So the different teams have different approaches. Clearly, General Manager Kirk Fredrickson likes to shop around, and he has himself established at some of the very major collegiate baseball programs around the country, and the word of mouth spreads. You want to play for a good organization, you play for the Torrington Twisters.
Oh, yeah.
First pitch to Tabor Lee, up with 2 outs, is a ball hitting left-handed against Darcy. There's a called strike. It's 1-1. Tabor Lee with an 8-game hitting streak on the line. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Stranded at third base in the 3rd inning. The pitch just fouled off, and back to the backstop. It's a 1-2 count to Tabor Lee with 2 down.
Tabor Lee going into this game, again with a .436 average, leads his team in average runs scored with 17 hits and 4 doubles.
Bouncer foul again, back to the backstop. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tabor Lee. Playing shortstop tonight, we've seen him DH when either Brian Kraft or Adam Haley have played. Shortstop inside, almost hit him. It's 2-2 now to Tabor Lee. He will likely get at least one more at-bat after this to try to keep that 8-game hitting streak alive. The 2-2 delivery, swinging, strike 3, and the side goes down here, top of the 6th inning. Twisters holding on to a fragile 5-4 lead after 5.5 innings.
So after 5.5 innings, as we enter the bottom of the 6th inning, score remains the same. Twisters 5, Silkworms 4, and here's Jim Pashley.
Thank you, Jeremy. We've got some lineup changes for the Twisters. Mike McMillan has switched around to left field for the Twisters. Here in the bottom of the 6th, Jordan Sarnicki will be in center field. And in to pitch for the Twisters is number 28, Rob Harand. Rob making, I believe, his 3rd appearance. Second in relief. He's pitched 7 innings, given up 3 hits, 1 run, no earned runs. He's got a 0.0 earned run average, walked 4 and struck out 3. The league hitting 130 against him thus far. And it will be the Silkworms up with Ty Stefkovich. First pitch from Harand is ball high from the San Diego State University product. Rob Harand. Here's the 1-0 delivery inside and high, almost nicked him. 2-0 to Stefkovich. Stefkovich on the evening 0 for 1 with a walk last time up to lead off the 4th inning and was stranded at 3rd with the bases loaded. Strike with a fastball on the outside corner to Stefkovich from Rob Harand. C.J. Giampaolo went 2 scoreless innings, not without making our hearts stop there in the 4th inning, however. But he did. He got out of a very tough situation and then turned around and had a 1-2-3 inning in the 5th inning. So nice piece of pitching tonight for Torrington native C.J. Giampaolo. Rob Harand now with the 3-1 delivery. Lead-off walk to Tyler Stefkovich. And the Twisters seem to be placing themselves in a perilous situation with regularity tonight. A lot of base runners for both teams, but especially for the Manchester Silkworms, as they've got the leadoff runner on with the walk. Stefkovich does the same thing he did in the 4th inning, and now Scott Beatty comes up. He had what started out to be a sacrifice bunt, turned into a bunt single, and he's going to do the same thing right here up the first base line. Harand makes the play and throws the ball, pulls Adam Haley, who was covering on the play, off, so that's an error on Harand on the throw. Down to second base goes Stefkovich, and a la the 4th inning, instant replay. That's a sacrifice. No, it's a sacrifice and an E1. No time at bat charge to Scott Beatty. So that is, let's see, sac bunt to make sure that he's not charged with the at-bat. But on the play, the error by Rob Harand pulling Adam Haley off the bag, Beatty would have otherwise been out. The runner would have been at second base with 1 down, but with nobody out. The infield is in.
Well, it's one of those plays, pitcher tries to rush it a little, and the throw is a little off.
Mike Dugan to play at second base. Safe back. Not too close of a play is Stefkovich with Bobby Newton and Justin McLean playing about a half a dozen feet in on the infield grass. Dugan, the hitter, squares the bunt. Pitches low. It's 1 ball and no strikes to Dugan. Dugan on the night is 2 for 3. Had an infield hit and a stolen base his first time up, along with a run scored, and then had a single his last time up. 2 runs scored on the evening. Horan's 1-0 delivery to Dugan. Bunt down the third base line, taken by Justin McLean. Over to Tabor Lee, covering at third base. Nice play, 5-6 to nip the lead runner. 5-6, the fielder's choice. On that fielder's choice, Dugan is at first base, and Stefkovich is nailed at third base. Nice quick play by Justin McLean. He got that ball turned and fired to Tabor Lee. Looked like he'd been camping at third base for about a day and a half over there, as he was just waiting for the throw. I don't know where he came from.
I know. That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, where'd that guy come from?
The minute I looked up, it looked like the minute the ball was off the bat, he was halfway between third and home plate. I don't know how I thought he was. It looked like he was halfway down the grass before the ball was even pitched.
Had it covered like a glove. Turning when the pitch was made. 1 down now. Runners on first and second still. Horan's first pitch is in there for a called strike to Evan Conley, who comes up now. Runners at first and second. Infielders playing at double play depth now with 1 down, and the force at any of the 3 bags in play. Of course, there's always a force at first, so force any place in the infield, I should say. For the Twisters, Evan Conley up. Conley is 1 for 3 with a stolen base and run scored. The pitch from Horan at 0-1. Line, there's a ball in the air to center field high, I should say. Jordan Sarnicki will take it. No chance to advance by either runner as the ball came in on the line. Jordan Sarnicki with an absolute cannon out there in center field gets that ball in. So it's a fly ball to center field, and Horan now has 2 down for the Twisters. Runners still at first and second base. We've got Dugan at first and Scott Beatty over at second base in scoring position. He represents the tying run. The go-ahead run is at first base, as I said, in the person of Mike Dugan. Twisters lead fragilely here, 5-4, bottom of the 6th inning, and it'll be Chris Denorfia at the plate. Denorfia is 1 for 3 as Coach Morehart is going out to have a word with Rob Horan. I wonder if they're going to be having some sort of discussion about what the Silkworms could have in play here, or is it my recollection or not? And I should have made a star on this. Wasn't it the Dornfield that had about the 11-pitch or the 10-pitch at-bat before he got that single earlier? This kid's good with the bat. And it wouldn't surprise me to see them put some sort of a play on, quite honestly, as we're looking at a 1-run lead, 5-4 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rob Horan in relief of C.J. Giampaolo, who pitched 2 scoreless innings, having taken the place, C.J. did, of Roy Shortell, who was only able to go 3 innings tonight, having given up all 4 of the Silkworms' run. The first pitch now to Denorfia, swinging, strike 1. Horan wasting no time, going right after the center fielder for the Silkworms, Chris Denorfia.
Denorfia collected his 13th hit of this season in the 3rd inning of this game.
Well, he's not batting 3rd in the order for nothing, that's for sure. That one gets behind Billy Ryan. Wild pitch back to the screen. And on the wild pitch, both runners advance. Beatty now down at third base, and Mike Dugan over at second base. 2 runners now in scoring position. A base hit here would certainly tie the game and perhaps give the Silkworms the lead, as a single could do it. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Chris Denorfia. Just high for ball 2. Now Horanda's going to want to pitch kind of carefully to Denorfia. The problem is Jess Nelson is up next, and he's 1 for 2, having come into the game at 3:33. High for ball 3. Billy Ryan now goes out to have a word with Rob Horan, as all of a sudden he finds himself in a heap of trouble with 2 down.
Horan is from San Diego State University.